Hello, this is Jacobus Boers. I'm a lecturer in international business at Robinson College of Business at Georgia State University. Today we'll be looking at writing a BUSA3000 CTW paper. Specifically, we'll be looking at using the Toulmin model of argument in writing this paper. Now, writing a paper like your international business term paper that requires a thesis that is supported by evidence may appear easy at first, but sometimes it's a little more trickier than one might expect. Today, we will specifically look at the measure of clarity, which is one of the 5 standards that is assessed for the critical thinking through writing assignment in this course. Now, do keep in mind that this is a critical thinking through the writing course, or CTW course, and you will be expected to show evidence of critical reflection in your paper. Your writing should also be professional and clear in form. This is a video that shares some thoughts on approaching the structure of your paper for the BUSA3000 International Business Term Paper assignment. Before you start writing, it's always advisable that you do some significant background reading on the topic and the country for your term paper. As you do this reading, you identify some interesting themes that are relevant to the course, and that's when you start doing some deeper research on those specific themes, which allows you to select one of the topics that is being assigned for this term paper. After doing further research on this topic, at some point you want to ask the question, so what? Why is it that this is important to this course, to this class, and for this paper? And the answer to this so what question is what will ultimately become the thesis to your paper. Last semester in BUSA3000, I had a student that wrote a paper on the cultural challenges in international business. The student chose to write about cultural challenges of doing business in China. The paper was a laundry list of things to remember when doing business in China. Lots of references, excellent citations galore. The problem was understanding how all these eccentricities of Chinese culture were really related specifically to international business. What does all this mean? Well, maybe I could have figured this out, but I had no idea if the student understood how these things were related. And that is why it is important that you structure an argument when you start doing the writing for your paper. And the structure of this argument is really the story that you tell in order to make your point. We will look at an argument here, and we will use the Toulmin model as a proposed way of structuring that argument. You are not required to use the Toulmin model in your paper, but you may find that it proves very useful in approaching structuring the paper. The basic Toulmin model has 3 elements: a claim, evidence, and a warrant. And we'll spend some time looking at these because they are very important to establish the clarity of your writing. Let's look at the claim. I have a thesis here that it can be difficult to ensure success in the Chinese market, that goes on to say because the culture is different and from the cultural practices in the United States. The claim part, the thesis part of this argument is really that it can be difficult to ensure success in the Chinese market. And it is very important that you have a clear thesis statement like this. However, you need to provide evidence that supports this claim. And in this case, you will show that Chinese culture is very different. You need to provide this evidence or data, and in this case it will be examples about the difference between US and Chinese culture that supports this claim that it can be difficult to ensure success in the Chinese market. The most common challenge students face in this assignment is when it comes to the warrant. What is it that convinces you that the evidence that you provide here leads to the conclusion that you draw in your thesis? You need to make this explicit, and often students fail to do so. This is an essential part of critical thinking, making your assumptions, the theories, explicit in your argument. And in this case, we know that it's difficult to do business in China from the claim. We see all kinds of evidence that China is quite different. But so why is it that China being different makes it a challenge to do business in the Chinese market? It is, of course, because cultural practices in the United States are different. And it's because this tension between US practices and China, or Chinese practices, that makes it difficult to always be successful in China. That's the warrant that you need to make explicit. Now, if you have these three basic elements of an argument, a claim, good evidence, and a warrant in place, you will earn a solid B for this assignment. After all, this is the bare bones structure of an argument. Having this in place will get you good score on clarity. There will be another video in which you can look at further improving your paper by making it more complex. I hope this is useful. See you soon.